welcome to the losers bracket, match 14, I think, between Tonberry and Kagebunji. This is the pre-battle analysis done by FDC. Seen above are the two teams, and as you can see, most of the colors above are white or lightish. Meaning, I think Tonberry's just gonna sweep this one. His squad has more HP. It actually has slightly better resurrections because both of his units can resurrect at range, rather than stand next to a target, which could make them liable to bad breath. He deals more damage, especially to that chemist, because that chemist and knight have best compat. While Chimp has a monk with 40 brave. There's not much else to be said there. And then we look at status, which I would argue also favors Tonberry, because although there exists a unit with stop, namely the Renovant, it has to also deal. I mean, Tonberry has a lot more depth in this area. He has an Ochu that can use bad breath or goo, and he also has a Mindflare that can use, well, the classic Mind Blast attack. And of course, luck also favors Tonberry, because, well, if bad breath gets off Petrify or Frog, it's pretty much over. And luck also favors him off of Counter Flood from the Mind Flare. Now, the reason why I didn't give status too clear an advantage to Tonberry is only because there's also a Black Chocobo on the other squad, and the Black Chocobo, well, can heal status. So technically, Kage has 3 units capable of healing status, and not 2. But the thing is, luck's evasion doesn't factor too much into luck for Kage, because although that Chocobo can use Chocobo Guard, which doubles evasion, and from defend, and also because that monk has Abandon and Feather Mantle, it's not, and the Renovant has 70 brave and I think it was Blade Grasp. It doesn't matter too much when you're faced with attacks like Counter Flood or Bad Breath or Raise 2 in the case of the Renovant. So it shouldn't matter too much here. And Synchronization, I would argue, also favors Tonberry, this time by a lot. Not only does his compacts match up well, it actually is pretty good at messing up the opponent in the sense that Chocobo has bad compat with the Mind Flare. The Renovant has bad compat with the Knight, and the Knight has best compat with the enemy chemist, while the enemy chemist still can't deal damage to be worth anything. And if you look at, yes, and despite having Reflect Mail, because he has a Mind Flare, Tonberry can actually haste his own squad. And then when you look at Chimp's team, you see stuff like a 40 Brave Monk, which I've already mentioned is not a good idea. A Chemist with Jump, which is probably not a good idea either. And then you see no, that's under AI. And then under AI, I would argue Tonberry has an advantage because there's 2 big AI detriments for for Kagebunji. First, he has a Black Chocobo. Black Chocobo in 1.3038 now has Chocobo Guard, which adds Defend, and the AI will spam Defend sometimes even over killing stuff. So that's not a good idea to have Defend. Also, that that Renovant has Auto Invisible, which means that because of the way we hacked invisibility, the AI will now always go after the invisible target first. And yes, having Blade Grasp helps, but if you're getting attacked by Bad Breath or Raise 2, Blade Grasp isn't going to save you. So with that, let's actually begin the match. Hello everyone, welcome back to the losers bracket match of the S5 tournament. This is between Tonberry and Kagebunji. So we have Tonberry's team, which is an Avatar-inspired team consisting of Ong the Lancer, Toph the Ochu, Soka the Knight, and Katara the Mindflare. You'll notice, no, that's the next squad. Then for Kage, we'll have Kokujo the Black Chocobo. As you'll notice, Chocobos actually have the same amount, Black Chocobos actually have the same amount of HP as Yellow Chocobos, despite what the guide says, because in 1.3038, Arch renormalized all monster stats, so only the red chocobo should have more. Chimp the Monk, as I already mentioned in the pre-battle analysis, 40 Brave on a Monk is not a good idea. RedWorld the Chemist, which I've also mentioned before, Jump is probably not a good secondary either, and Raven of Razgrease the Renavant. Notice that his PA is 10 and not 11 because, again, Arch renormalized monster stats and didn't give Renavants an extra PA boost. With that, let's go to their first battle, which is... Okay, so Voyage is pretty much a walk around a gigantic landmass. Okay, 1 unit his did. And notice how that Chocobo is wasting its time with Chocobo Guard. And it doesn't, which means that, in fact, that Chocobo will actually not be as Seeky conservant as the rest of his squad. Despite him having extra move, okay. The first attack is done by the Mindflare. Yes, Blade Grasp is showing its effectiveness at blocking stuff. But even then, they're all moving into range for that Merble. And of course a Cure 3 gets charged, causing... Ooh, nice! Cure 3 was used against I don't know why he didn't use Bad Breath there, but okay. As I said before, Cure 3 was used off Reflect to get rid of the Renavant. That's smart AI right there, for once. Oh great, and now the Merble has regen, and it will heal for like 40 health, maybe 50. Ooh, and Mind Blast goes off twice, but it's Berserk. I'm not so sure that's smart, though those are the only 2 units on the enemy squad that can revive, so maybe it is. I don't know why this thing isn't using Bad Breath. I think maybe it's because AoE. Okay, so Berserk is removed by the Chocobo nonetheless. And Death Sentence misses. Remember, good compat from that knight, goes past defense up. Oh, now we see Bad Breath. Okay, the Chocobo's confused and will start doing random stuff. I wonder what random stuff here entails. Like Choco guarding the enemy squad, perhaps. Now that knight's unhittable from the looks of it. For at least for this turn. And she's going back down. And Grief's Touch doesn't even hit. So, already we can see that to whatever extent we can see that to whatever extent to whatever extent Kage's squad is capable of doing anything, it's gonna get cancelled. Simply because, well, that Renavant has no chance of survival against either the Lancer or the Knight, simply because it's undead. And the rest of them, well, they don't deal much damage, and they're forced to sandbag, but they can't do much while sandbagging. The Chemist will just keep getting put down by Aqua Lung, and, well, sooner or later, a few hits are going to go through on that Monk. And as you'll notice, a wounded Chocobo will do nothing but fly away and use Chocobo Guard. It almost never even attacks. So this is just pretty much 4-on-1, really. Although Abandon is really helpful at evading attacks, it doesn't really help him when it comes to dealing damage or surviving. Because sooner or later, so far Grease Touch hasn't hit once. And through Blade Grasp too, wow. Okay, that monk's dead now. He's put to sleep and he's poisoned. And the Chemist would prefer Jump over getting rid of that. Wow. Okay, the Chemist is dead. They're just waiting on the monk, I think. Because I think the monk was also stopped. And somehow 266 damage doesn't finish. Oh, right, because he has armor. But Poison's gonna eat away at his HP and cancel his HP his move HP up. So it's just a matter of time now before that monk goes down for good. And Bad Breath again. I wonder what happens this. Oh wow, Silence and Confusion. Now they're gonna. No, they're not gonna ignore him. They're just gonna finish him down. So the Lancer's now hasted, and we're just waiting for that Chocobo. Okay, see, because the AI is coded so that way, if the last unit is a wounded critical unit, it will move back and attack. I'm not sure why it does that, since that's not very smart, but oh well. So, as predicted, Tonberry wins round 1. Okay, so now let's join us for round 2. In round 1, we saw Tonberry literally take apart Kagebunji's squad, one by one. First the Renamont went down and it never got its stop proc off. Then the 2 humans went down and while the Chocobo just sat and used Chocobo Guard and did nothing else. So, let's see if something like that happens again. Map 33. Some people are saying this map isn't fair for this and that, mostly because it gives AoE squads too much of a benefit, but then again, both squads here have AoE squads, so I don't see who's exactly getting punished here. Of course, it actually benefits teleport squads a good deal too, as you can see from that. But even if that gets Blade Grasped, this won't. So the Renamont just dies again. So Kage's already at an early disadvantage because one of his units is dead and not doing anything. And for some reason, Arch made Timed Blast evadable by magic or something. Because that 60% was guarded by a shield. That's not right, but oh well. I didn't make this patch. Both squads are advancing, nothing much is happening. Ochu advances. Again, nothing much is happening. Okay, Carved Model. Off of 2 units, but nobody gets petrified. Jump, again, but it's from a Chemist. It's not like it doesn't much of anything. Wow, 50 damage. I think that's because of compat reasons, but still. Mind Blast. And the Chemist is berserked. Somehow I don't think berserking that Chemist is a good idea, simply because she doesn't do much damage to begin with, there's no need for her to do more. It's not like a mage that does absolutely nothing. Wow, and it used the booster jump over the Ochu to actually move and completely encircle that Chocobo. Wow, petrified Ochu. So things could be a bit more even now, except Chocobo dies, and probably next turn that unit's going to be brought back up by Esuna. Tonberry comes back with 4 health and hides in the corner indefinitely. So, in fact, a Tonberry that's hiding in the corner at 4 health is probably more useless than one that's dead, because one that is dead that could come back up alive again. One that's in the corner at 4 health can't do anything. And notice how that Mindflare is more dangerous with Counter Flood than she is with Jump. That should tell you immediately who has the advantage here. It only came back to mid-charge of Night for all of 84 damage. Oh, and also to get Protect, of course. And the Chocobo gets put back down. To be honest, despite luck from that Chemist and all in that critical, she's not really hurting the Mindflare. The Mindflare is still doing way more off of the counter. And the Chocobo isn't going back up. So there's nothing here to watch anymore. It's just 2 very wounded units get killed. You'll notice that double regen is more than... Oh wow, and yes, not only that, that Mindflare can heal himself with Aqua Lung. I didn't notice that. That Monk is doing nothing but reviving. Sooner or later, they're gonna get bad breath. Like now. Wow! Petrified Chocobo, confused Monk. Okay. Okay, the Ghoul teleports further away and does absolutely nothing. Let's see if we can add Berserk to that list. Yup, we can! Now let's see what happens now. Chimp the Monk runs and uses Carve Model. What? It seems confused overrides Berserk? Huh, didn't know that. Okay, uses Bad Breath again. Sleep and Confuse this time. Nice. Aqua Lung wakes it back up. Already has too many statuses on him. He doesn't look like he can add more. Ah, right. Abandon's been turned off because of one of the status effects. So, Encounter Flood kills the Renabot once again. And he dies from poison. Okay. So Tonberry wins round 2, and thus he loses bracket number 13. Kage, you're eliminated.